Hey, welcome back to the shop. Have you ever wanted to cut something on your CNC that's big? I mean big, like this big, but your CNC isn't big enough to handle it? Well, with Carveco Maker Plus it is. All I need to do is chop this thing up into smaller pieces that my CNC can handle, and I can create a design that lines up, matches up, and is perfect. If you want to know how we're going to do that, stick with me. Let's get started. The first step in this process is deciding what size we want to make our pieces that we're going to use on the mill. In this case, I'm going to go with 1 foot and I'm going to oversize them by a 1/16 of an inch, 32nd to a 1/16 of an inch, because in the programming you can add a little buffer so that you can cut a little bit bigger and then sand everything in so it's a perfect match. You could make a piece that was 8 foot square if you so choose, or even larger with this software. Pretty incredible. I've got my saw set up to 1 foot, 3/16 of an inch. That's 1 foot, 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to slice it up and cut perfect squares. Let's get on that. All right, so the last ones, I couldn't use the miter on, so I just took one of these guys and I used it to tell me what the width is off the fence, off the blade, so they match. And we'll slice these guys up using the fence. All right, so because I used a 48-inch wide piece and I overcut them by a little bit, obviously, the last slice is not going to be as wide as the other ones. It's not going to be 12 inches wide. So what I did, I know that in the program, some of the edge carvings don't need the full 4 foot or 1 foot width. So I'm going to take those and make sure I use those on the edges. Let's keep going. Now, to keep everything straight so that I don't put the wrong side up, I'm going to label each one of these guys down, and this will be a side piece. Oops, let's write it somewhere where we can see it. These ones are narrower than the others. This is a good side, this is a bad side, so we're going to go down. And I'll go through and make sure that I put the best side forward on all pieces. Let me explain what I got going on here. So once you do this, you got your 1 foot square piece. You zero and home one time off this corner. I wanted something that was repeatable so that I could pop this piece out, pop the next piece in, let it rock and roll. So what I've got going on is auxiliary fence, so I can use this as something to work off of. It is clamped down on the mill. And then I have these fences on here that line up with this at 90 degrees. I've pin nailed those in place. They won't move. And I've taken the piece that we're going to carve and use double-sided stick tape on the back side to hold it down. It's not going anywhere this way. It shouldn't lift because of the double-sided tape. We start with square number 1, carve it, pop it out, put the tape on, slide the next one in, let it rock and roll and do the next one. It's already zeroed. It's already homed off of this corner. I've already zeroed for Z in the center. Let's start cutting out these pieces.
What are you doing?
Watching an expert at work. This is what happens when you bite off a bigger painting than you should chew. I have to help with this now. I did all of this, by the way. James is sleeping. Alright everybody, there's the finished product. If you have Carveco Maker Plus, you can make a project of any size. This thing could have been 8 foot square if I wanted it to be. Would have come out pretty good. 1 foot squares, 16 of them. Lisa, Jake, Tessa, and I painted this thing. It took us all day one Sunday. The guy running the camera is Ryan. He's helping me with this. But there you have it. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you got some value in it. I'm going to put the programming at the end of this so that you can watch and learn how to do this if you so choose. As always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Like, share, and subscribe. Okay, the programming. So this is pretty straightforward. Here's the graphic I used, and it is on a 48-inch by 48-inch piece of stock. And with Carveco Maker Plus, this is such a simple process. This isn't going to be a very long programming tutorial. But anyway, I'm going to highlight everything. This is going to be a standard, standard V-carve. So we'll go over here and we'll make our tool pass just as we normally would. Start depth is going to be 0. I'm going to limit the maximum tool depth to 0.18. I'm going to select a carving tool. In this case, I used a 60-degree V-bit. A Groovy Jenny. And I'm going to use a roughing tool, an 1/8 inch. Select that. Going down, let's give it a name. We'll call it Fox. And we'll calculate now. A lot of stuff going on there. It takes a little bit to calculate. You watch the spinning wheel of death there for a minute. Alright, there you have it. The graphic is, toolpath is programmed just like normal. And here is where the magic comes. Click on toolpaths. I'm going to go right down here to this thing that says panel toolpaths, this icon. Click on that. And when you look at it, you'll see over here on the left that I have a 1. The reason I have a 1 there is because my width and my height of the panels that I want to create at this point is the entire piece, 48 by 48 inches. Now you can choose whatever size panel you'd like to do. You just make those adjustments right here. My panel was 12 by 12. And you click Create Regular Panels. Now, as you can see, I have 16 panels. Let's turn off the toolpaths there so it might be a little easier to see. All right, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 16. If you come down here, you can apply an overcut, which means you'll have a little more stock to work with, and as I said earlier, you could sand back to get a perfect fit. These two boxes right here change the direction of the cut or the numeric layout of your pattern. So in this case, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, just like your normal reading a book. If you click the other way, you can see that it now changes them to 1, 2, 3, 4 vertical. I'm not sure why anyone would want to use that. To me, I want to do this as if I'm reading a book to keep it easy to remember. If you scroll down through, you can see that all of the pieces are here. We're good. Now we're going to save the paneled toolpaths. When this opens up, what you're going to do is exactly the same as if you didn't want to panel this. You're going to pretend that the pieces are exactly the size that you want. So I don't have a tool changer, so I have to separate these two into separate files. So we're going to take the bottom one here and click this arrow and move it over to the left. We're going to calculate the tool paths, call it Fox V-bit. I'm going to save it in G. Oops, we're not going to save it in G, we're going to save it in F. All right, save. Now it doesn't look like, it's not going to look like anything different happened, but I'm going to show you what happened here in just a second once these tool paths are created. All right, now we're going to switch this around. We're going to bring this one back over. We're going to take the end mill back out. And I would change the name down here to match the bit. So in other words, the first one should have said Fox end mill bit. This one would say Fox V bit. I'm just going to switch that around. Or you could say bit 1 and bit 2. Let's just change this backwards just for the sake of demonstration. I'm going to save this. All right, the tool paths are now saved. We can close this out. And I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to go to my files. And as you can see, in the F drive, I now have 32 files. And what you would do is when you're out at the machine, you would go panel 1, and this would obviously be your end mill first. You would use the end mill first. So you'll carve the end mill, then you'll carve the V-bit, then you'll go to pull that stock out, put the next piece of stock in, go to end mill number 2, then V-bit number 2, pull the stock out and replace it, and so on and so forth. Pretty straightforward stuff. Pretty simple stuff. Now, you can display the toolpath info clicking this here, and as you can see, it'll give you a printable graphic that you can print out to help you keep things straight. But in my mind, if you're doing panels 1 through 16 from left to right like you're reading a book, it's pretty straightforward. There should be no confusion there, but it gives you all kinds of data, all kinds of things that you can read. And there you have it, folks. That's how you program with the panel tool in Carveco Maker Plus. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I've got my eyes on a piece that's going to be 48 by 8 foot. I just have to convince Lisa that she can paint it for the next 3 weeks. So thank you, everybody. We'll catch you on the next one.
You're good.
Ryan says I got to do the Instagram turn.